Aleja cursed in Croatian. Her face was already itching under the paint that had scrawled whiskers across her cheeks and turned her lips and nose black. A mask that gleamed in red and gold wound round her dark green eyes. Tonight, Aleja was a fox. "How are we meant to find anyone in this?" Next to her, Frances was fidgeting with her own glossy onyx mask. Black feathers rippled down her raven costume and protruded into wings that flapped each time she moved her arms. In front of the two best friends, the ancient walled city of Ragusa sparkled with life and music and glittering costumes. The carnival was in full swing. It was the perfect place for a spot of stealing. Although they were dressed for the festivities, Aleja and Frances weren't here to have fun. For they were no ordinary girls. They were pirates. And together they made the perfect team. Frances, with her slippery fingers, could steal the jewels from your neck before you blinked. And Aleja was a multilinguist whose sneaky ways caused secrets to tumble into her hands. They were here to steal a key from a cartographer. It would open the cartographer's safe, hidden in his sprawling house, perched on top of a nearby hill. The contents of that safe were their true target tonight, but the cartographer kept the key on his person at all times. "Let's go," Aleja said, and she and Frances entered the heaving crowd. The task had seemed so simple on the ship. Find the cartographer, snag the key, copy it with a device created by their brilliant shipmate Greet, then pop it back into the cartographer's pocket. Now it felt impossible. Aleja squinted through her mask. There were too many people and she couldn't see a thing. She stood up on her tiptoes. "There!" Aleja grabbed Frances's feathered arm and pointed through the crowd at a bald man in a Venetian-style turquoise peacock mask. "Mind my wing!" Frances hissed. "Sorry." They slipped through the gates that led on to the Stradun, a wide walkway cutting through the city centre. It was alive with people, musicians and poets and merchants. A parade of drummers and dancers snaked towards them. Aleja and Frances stole through them, inching closer, closer, closer. The cartographer looked over his shoulder. Aleja whisked Frances out of sight behind an old fountain. "What's happening?" Frances whispered. Aleja peeked out and saw the cartographer's Venetian mask glinting under a street lantern. "He nearly saw us." The drummers reached a crescendo, and the crowd shattered into applause. Aleja and Frances sneaked closer, towards Sponza Palace, with its sand-coloured arches cast in a buttery glow by the sunset. They stepped round a cart of hot sugar-roasted almonds, sticking like glue to the cartographer's tail. "Now," Aleja whispered into Frances's ear. "The timing is perfect. You grab the key and I'll stand by in case he needs distracting." She made to weave into the thickest part of the crowd, but Frances pulled her back. Oh no!" "What is it?" Aleja asked, eyes still pinned to the cartographer's bald head. "Look!" Frances said desperately. Aleja glanced over, her heart racing. Frances was staring at a bunch of kittens. They were wandering around the arches of the palace, leaping playfully at each other and guzzling the bowls of milk left out for them. Aleja let out a frustrated sigh and turned back, but the cartographer had moved faster than she'd expected. "Frances, we need to go." "But they're picking on it." To Aleja's dismay, Frances stubbornly started off in the opposite direction, towards one particular kitten. It was a tiny, scrawny thing with a bitten ear. Aleja stared as the cartographer vanished into the crowd like mist. Panic rose in her chest. The captain would be furious if they failed in their mission, but without Frances to do the pickpocketing, there was nothing Aleja could do. She looked helplessly at her friend approaching the scared kitten. Frances had once been homeless on the streets of London, fighting for her own scraps. No wonder she couldn't ignore it. She murmured soothing words and stroked its fuzzy little head. It was ink black with curious green eyes. Frances scooped up the kitten and beamed at Aleja. Her bright amber eyes shone.
Isn't she adorable?
Yes, very cute, Aleja said, forcing herself to stay calm. Frances was busy watching the kitten bat at her feathered costume.